The risk of insult is the price of clarity. Roy H. Williams.
Um, Mick, Mick, everybody, crumbs for giants. And I jumped right into this real heavy. Mick, I got a question for you.
I
What
got answers.
is you do have answers. That's why I invited you here. Um, what what do you think of my instincts? And what I mean by that specifically in what do you think of my instincts when it comes to emotion? Because that's where I live most of my life. I'm a big F. What do you think of my instincts?
Well, I think you as a marketing consultant, I think probably your strongest instincts come from outside of marketing. And I mentioned this on a previous episode of this program where I was talking about your experience as a baseball coach,
Mm.
and I think specifically it's your instincts outside of business that make you an unusually good marketing consultant because you're not sort of thinking of everything strictly from a perspective of marketing. You're sort of looking at it in terms of how to win. And it's one of the things I really like about working with you,
Oh, that's brilliant.
is
Yeah.
that's sort of where you come from. What you're not talking about best practices. You're not talking about how, oh, everybody does it this way, so that's the way we have to do it. You look at it in terms of how do we beat the other guy
Right.
in a
Okay. Well,
friendly way.
yeah. No.
You're
Well,
not a
no.
mean person, but you're here to win the game.
I was so much nicer when I was younger. I'm definitely going like, no, I want to crush other people for my clients. I've changed my mind to that. I don't like playing nice in the sandbox as much as I used to. But the reason why I asked that question was because I wanted to tell you what I thought about your instincts and what I think your best instincts are. And then we could talk about instincts in general and why we need to be focused on it a little bit. But guys, Mick Torbay is I I bow down a little bit because he's this weirdly he's the guy at the party that can take any topic, I don't care what the topic is, and completely flip it upside down, make you look at it, differently, and then put it back, and you go, you can never not see that topic from the original viewpoint again. And what I noticed this first when you used to write for me when I was a customer, a client of the Wizard of Ads, and you blew my mind with your use of a foil and how that then takes what the business owner's real true message and meaning is and completely make you see it from the other side and then go, oh, that's why I can align myself. And so your instincts to completely and utterly never care about whether or not you offend because you know you can always bring it back to a place of really wholesome awesomeness. And so I'd really appreciate that about you.
Well, that's kind, and of course I don't mean to offend, but I do a lot. Um, but
Tough
that's
love,
what
Torbe.
that's what happens when you hear stuff you're not used to hearing,
Yes.
and sometimes I have to sort of take that risk that something I'm going to say might offend my client, and if my client is too sensitive, then perhaps it's not a good fit for me because I do tend to sort of tell things the way it is. And clients as a group are not used to, for example, clients as a group are not used to hearing no from their marketing people. And I'll tell you why that is.
Sorry, hang
For
on.
what
Uh,
did I jump in? Did I
no,
spoiler alert?
no, that is no. We Wizard of Ads, we multiple partners. We talk this language, and I've never heard it said exactly like that. And so you just made me. I had a laugh.
Did I
Thank
just
you.
do the thing you said that I do a lot?
Kind of, yeah. I just jam. See, yes.
There you go.
Continue, please. I'm sorry.
Clients are not used to being told no. And that's because, especially by their marketing people, and that's because in all of their experience with all of the marketing people they've ever interacted with, the only question the marketing person ever asks the client is, do you like this? Do you approve this? The client can say no, but the marketing person, that's a vendor. They're not supposed to say no.
That's right.
Um, no radio salesperson has ever said no to a client. No outdoor salesperson, no digital salesperson has ever said, no, we're not doing this. As long as you're paying, we're going to
Well, I
do the
think
thing you want to do.
And I think specifically what you mean is if a client says, "Oh man, I have this really good idea. I'd like to see this happen," and they say, "Okay, great, we can totally make that happen. What are the words you want to have in there? Okay, we want these words in there. Okay, great. Can you make it a little bit creative for me?" Sure, I can make it a little bit creative for you, but they're gonna give you exactly what you asked for without there being a reason for those things to exist.
Advertising is something that is sold. Let's just come right out and say it. In order to have advertising, someone has to buy advertising, therefore someone has to sell advertising. And if you want to
Yes.
sell something, you don't sell by saying no to your
Mm,
client,
I
right?
love
If
that.
if I as a business owner called up the local billboard company and said, I've got this idea where we should put a picture of my dog on the billboard and say you'll get a doggone good commercial from Mick's copywriting services. Do you know what the billboard company is going to say?
I got you.
Great idea, Mick. Well, I'll get a
Absolutely.
photographer over to your house this afternoon. We'll take a picture of your dog. Let me write that down. What was that? You'll get a doggone good commercial when you call Mick's copywriting services. Okay, how do you spell copywriting? Good. Okay, with an R. Okay, good. All right, let's do that. Okay, that's going to be $7,000 a month, and the photographer's going to take a picture of your dog. Do you have a particular typeface you want, or what? Like, what they're not going to say is that's a stupid idea, and we're not doing that
Exactly.
because it is, and we're not.
N-
So
We won't.
we sometimes surprise our clients um, by not blindly doing the stuff that they want to do because their instinct is going to take them to a certain place. And it doesn't matter what that place is, it's the same place as your competitors because your competitors sit in the same chair. So whatever the business owner feels is right is exactly what your competitor feels is right. And if you're wondering why all advertising sounds the same, it's because of that. It's because the
Wow.
client drives it. Nobody says no to the client. The client says, this is what I want to do. The advertising salesperson says, well, I want my commission. So we're going to do that thing that the client wants to do. And they don't say, well, but that's what everybody else says. In fact, they say, well, that's best practices. I guess that's why we're doing it that way.
Dude, I wrote it down. This is why all advertising sounds the
It's not a
same.
coincidence why all
Oh my
advertising
God.
sounds the same. It's because we're following the instincts of the business owner, and the business owner drives everything. And if you want something different, what you have to do is you have to hire a guy like Matthew Burns, who's willing to say to the client, yeah, your thing, we tried that. Now we're doing something else.
Yeah,
And if the
exactly.
client says,
Or
"Yeah, but I really think this dog billboard thing is going to work," they have to listen to the possible idea of, "No, that's stupid, and we're not doing it."
yeah, it's oh my gosh, it's so
Ouch.
true. Dude, it's so true. I mean, like we talked in a previous episode about a client that we had who was in the name of their company. They named their company after the local sports team so they could get that brandable audible chunk, that echoic, I guess,
Yeah, that
thing.
local.
Right?
Yeah,
And we would have never put them into the if they had come to us and asked us before, but they hired us, "Hey, we're gonna rename. What should we rename?" The craziness that ensues is that somebody else said, "Hey, you should do that." So they were like, "Oh yeah, that sounds good," because they don't have a better idea because it's not what they do. They're in spreadsheets, they're in hiring, they're in payroll, they're in is the job getting
probably
done? They
ran it
have
by
people.
everybody they knew, and the committee said, "Yeah,
Oh.
sure, name it after the local sports team." What could possibly go
So
wrong?
right? And then we had to spend a good solid 9 months to a year helping him stand apart from the local sports team while still using the local sports team's name. And it was a I mean, we did a you listen, you did a great job with that whole thing. So
It was a great campaign
it was a
that
great
you and I
campaign.
wrote together.
Yes, we did. It was so much fun. So okay, so the instincts, I mean, I'm going to just say it. So the instincts in marketing of the business owner are usually wrong.
Everybody says trust your instincts, and I'm here to say don't. It's leading you down the wrong path. When it comes to marketing, please do not trust your instincts. Find somebody who doesn't know all the stuff you know.
Okay, so this is the point that business owners are trying to make decisions based on what they know of their business and their competitors. What they don't ever do, have a really hard time doing, is they have a hard time going outside of the business standing outside on the street and taking a look at the business like a consumer would, or going and watching all of their social media
Right,
comments and
but
seeing
they
what
can't. They can't say, well, this is what I would think if I was a consumer, because the consumer doesn't have 20 years experience in your category. And you as a human being cannot say, how would I feel if I had not lived the last 20 years of my life the way I did? I'm sorry, it's just not an option for you. You can't say, how would I think if I didn't know all the stuff I know? You have to find someone who doesn't know all the stuff you know and say, what do regular people think? And that way you can actually come up with a message that will surprise people. And
yeah.
and then your marketing becomes all on its
Okay.
own, whereas everybody else is saying the same stuff.
Exactly. Well, and that's also why we spend so much time with our clients before we even get to the strategy, learning about them, understanding who they are, what their motivations are, where they came from, how did they grow up, what's their view of the world, so that
Absolutely.
their business can thrive within that thrive within them, because again, we talk about it, real matters, but then l- your instincts of flip-flopping something to look at it from the back side of it and go, oh, wait a second, that's really interesting, and I can now make it look like it came from the front side, which is what we do. Okay, so I think this is amazing. If you're a business owner, let's say you're a small to medium-sized business owner, you've had really good instincts, but you reached your ceiling. You did all the things you needed to do, but you haven't been able to grow over the last little while. Hire somebody outside of yourself. Talk to somebody who's not in your industry, who doesn't know you. Get them to look at your industry for you. If you're a marketer, that's your job, by the way. That's your job. Stop saying yes, 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 yes. I'll do whatever you say. No, challenge them on what they're doing, because you know better, because you aren't in their industry, and you know what's going to get the likes and the thumbs up and the people remembering their name. Be better.
And
We
risk
want
pissing
better
them off a
marketing,
little bit.
and risk telling them. Yeah, exactly. What's the saying?
The
Insults
risk of
is
insult is the price of clarity.
Thank you. The
Roy
risk of
H.
insult is the
Williams.
price of clarity. Roy H. Williams, I love you. Okay, man, this was brilliant. This is actually one of my favorite topics. I love that you brought this up, and this was so much fun to talk about. Guys, go to the Wizard Academy, and you can learn all about communicating and seeing things from different angles, which is what we're
And maybe
talking about
even be
here.
a little offended, frankly.
And be a little offended. Oh my gosh. We really appreciate you guys. But I'm going to leave the link to the Wizard Academy so you can go learn where we learned all this stuff from. Okay. Buddy, you're the best. I appreciate you.